I'm making a quick announcement here before I get started. As you all know, this is my main YouTube channel. My alternate is Nintendine Plus. On that channel, I primarily do retrospectives. I've been wanting to make these Let's Play highlight videos. I don't know what else to call them, but it's similar to the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds video that I had uploaded a few weeks ago and some of the older Mario Party videos that used to be on my channel. The thing is, those videos don't really work on my main channel nor on my retrospective channel because, well, algorithmic stuff. But I do really enjoy making them, and since I'm playing games all the time anyway, I think they're very easy to make with not too much editing involved. It's usually like an hour or two of footage that I just shrink down into 15 minutes of highlights. And I try my best to keep it as entertaining as possible too. Might even make you laugh at a few moments. And since I'm going to be playing Sonic Racing CrossWorlds quite a bit, I decided to make this channel and start off with those videos. Eventually it'll be more than just Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And there's already 2 videos on there. One of them is a re-upload from the video that I had posted on here after the Labor Day weekend. And another one is from my gaming session last night. So if you're interested in just a bunch of Sonic Racing CrossWorld content, go ahead and check out that channel. There's going to be a lot of it in the next few weeks at least. Okay, back to the main stuff. What's up, everybody? So this is a funny turn of events. A new kart racer comes out from a series that notoriously has lost to Mario in the past, and especially in recent years when it comes to this specific genre. And all of a sudden, everybody cannot get enough of it. The review scores from the journalists are fairly similar, but the user ratings, oh man, those drastically favor the blue blur. And now, despite the fact that this game is still in the early access phase, almost all of the online discourse seems to indicate that rather than Sonic Team being kind of foolish for releasing this game in the same year as Mario Kart World, all of a sudden Mario Kart World is so underwhelming that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds seems to be scooping in to pick up that crowd that was just let down by the mustachioed plumber. And look, it's not like Mario Kart World is a bad game by any means. It's just run by a company that wants you to have fun the way they want you to have fun rather than the way that you want to have fun. And I mean, at the end of the day, pretty much every single review of Mario Kart World can be summarized as, yeah, it's Mario Kart, which obviously is not a bad thing. Now, like I said, this has led to just a whole ton of praise being aimed at Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, which is crazy because way back when they did the closed beta a few months ago, which I think was prior to the launch of the Switch 2, almost everybody was hating on it. They played it, they said it just didn't play well at all, and they were foolish for releasing it in the same year as Mario Kart. And that narrative just seemed to stick for a very long time. The only other major talking point that came up prior to the open network test that they had done over Labor Day weekend was that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds would seemingly be a game keycard title, and that upset a lot of people. But then they made a big announcement that it was going to be fully on cartridge for the Nintendo Switch 2. Aside from that, it was kind of silent for a while leading up to the open network test, which everybody just got really hyped for all of a sudden. And man, that open network that Sonic Team had given everybody completely shifted the narrative of this game. 1 million downloads and over 10 million races over the course of Labor Day weekend. And everybody started praising this game all of a sudden. Well, almost everybody. There was this weird narrative that a few people were trying to push that really the only reason Sonic was as popular of a racing game was because the hate for Nintendo and the Switch 2 was an all-time high, so people were just excessively glazing this title for the sake of glazing it just to make Mario Kart World look worse. And honestly, at one point in time, I was thinking maybe that is actually the case. Maybe people are just like, you know what? Mario Kart World is doing a bad job at keeping people entertained. Nintendo deserves a lot of punishment just for all of the crap that they've been doing around the industry with their patents. Maybe, just maybe, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is not really that good, and it's just something that people are coming in together to band against Nintendo. It was funny, like going into the open network test, I felt like, you know, like you walk into a room and there's just a bunch of people that dislike Nintendo and you're all looking at each other left and right, be like, so we're gonna pretend we like this game, right? But then you start playing it, it's like, whoa, like this is actually really good. And then it gets better because the marketing behind it is just top notch. Like right off the bat for the non-Sonic franchise, you get Joker from Persona, Hatsune Miku, Kasuga from Yakuza's coming, Steve, Alex, and Creeper from Minecraft, and Pac-Man. And then you get the added bonuses of random franchises like Ninja Turtles and SpongeBob SquarePants. And then most recently, it turns out that the surprise character package that hasn't been announced yet is Mega Man, assuming the leaks are true, of course. All of a sudden, not only do you have a very good kart racer coming out from a franchise that is on the rise, to be fair. Shadow Generations was one of my favorite games last year, and when IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, I was really happy because I felt like they deserved it. Not that I cared too much about the ratings of these games, although in the case of Sonic Racing CrossWorld getting a 9 and Mario Kart World only getting an 8 from IGN, I do think it's worth pointing out and maybe even chuckling about it for a few seconds. But with IGN, it's also kind of like, I feel like they're just really trying to appeal to the Sonic fandom right now. They're kind of trying to do the turn a new leaf thing and, hey, let's be friends after so many years of hating on you. So perhaps I'm not surprised that they gave that a better score than Mario Kart World. But I mean, outside of that, everybody's loving this thing. And it's funny too, because you can tell a lot of people are coming into this game after Mario Kart. Either jumping into this after playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for quite a while, or even people that played Mario Kart World, like Mario Kart World, but decided they wanted to give this a shot anyway. And the user experience is always very similar. And it's very similar actually to what I said in my review. When you first jump into the game, there is a weird adjustment. It's just nothing feels natural for some reason, but after a few moments, it feels very normal. I've heard at least 3 or 4 different reviewers say that same line verbatim. I've seen people write it online on their posts about how the adjustment felt a little awkward at first, but after a few races, they got the hang of it. And so many of them also insist that they didn't feel that with Mario Kart World. So it's very clear to me that a lot of people that think Mario Kart World controls fine, it's largely because they're just used to playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so when they jumped to Mario Kart World, it felt natural. But now that they're going to Sonic Racing CrossWorlds and there's that slight bit of adjustment, it feels unnatural to them. Whereas in actuality, it's just a different engine, and it's pretty easy to get used to. Now, one of the biggest flaws about Sonic Racing CrossWorlds specifically is its price point. Obviously, Mario Kart World is an $80 title. It's a trend-setting $80 title. But despite that, most people that bought Mario Kart World didn't actually pay $80 for it. They bought it in the bundle for $50. And given that there have been significantly more bundled consoles available than non-bundled consoles, a lot of people that bought Mario Kart World might have not even wanted it. They just wanted the Switch 2, and there was no other way to get it. So even though Mario Kart World sold very well, and even though Mario Kart World has an $80 price tag, both of those things kind of have a little bit of an asterisk next to them, at least for now. In the case of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, it's also very steep. They're offering it for $70, and it's $90 if you want the season pass that gets you all the extra DLC and content. Although even if you don't pay the additional $20, there is still going to be more downloadable content and updates that come to the free users as well. I guess I shouldn't call them free users, it's the base game people, the $70 people. But the cool names, those guys are all coming with the $90 pack. Now, for me personally, I think there is a very big difference between what Mario Kart is doing with their $80 price tag and what Sonic Racing CrossWorlds are doing with their $70 and $90 price tag. I hate them both, but I hate one more than the other. And to be clear, I think it was Wario64 that had posted a really good deal for this game on Steam. And I had some gift cards too to offset the cost because I definitely would have not got this game at full price. I would have waited for it to drop in price, if anything. But for the sake of everybody else, if you're somebody that's adamant that you would never spend $70 on a game, the cool thing about the non-Nintendo titles is that they go down in price. And that's the big thing that makes it a difference for me. I should say that's the biggest thing that makes it a difference. Because there are more than one reasons why I'm okay with Sonic's price point and I'm not okay with Mario's. So in general, there are a lot of things that are done in the gaming industry that don't bother me as much when other companies do it, because when Nintendo does it, they do it with a specific understanding that their games will never go down in price. And not just that, their consoles will not go down in price. I'm not bothered as much if, I don't know, a random third party decided to release a game at $80, $90, or even $100, because I know that if I wait a few months for most of these games, they will be like half off. Like Xbox, for example, just increased the price of their consoles, but I got my Xbox Series X at below $500 from Xbox. And I'm pretty sure my brother bought his for $200 directly from Microsoft as well. And if I was a gambling man, I would say that before the holiday season, PlayStation and Xbox will probably have some kind of crazy deal that'll make it cheaper than it was to buy at launch. So when they increase their prices, I don't necessarily get bothered nearly as much. Right now, if you ask me to gamble on whether or not Nintendo would backtrack all of the price increases they've done over the past couple of months because of market conditions, I have absolutely zero faith in that ever happening. The only thing I know for certain is that eventually that Mario Kart bundle will go away and there'll be like, what, 8-9 million people that have Mario Kart World. And outside of when or even if they decide to bring back that Mario Kart World bundle, I think it's pretty damn certain that whether you buy the game now or whether you buy the game in 5 or 6 years from now, it'll be at least $80, if not more. So I'm definitely not going to be as hard on Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, nor am I going to care as much if everybody decides they want to buy it. Because after those people buy it, within a few months from now, you're getting it at a good discount, and within a year from now, it'll be half off and include everything that was included in the DLC anyway. Breath of the Wild came out again for the Switch 2, the third console that game sits on, and they did not include the DLC with it. So yeah, there's a very big difference between buying something from Nintendo versus buying something from Sega. And it actually goes deeper than that too. When Nintendo or the Mario franchise does something, when they price something accordingly, that affects the entire industry. Other companies look at it and they decide to set their prices based off of what Nintendo does. They kind of set the standard here. I'll tell you what, if Mario Kart World was not $80, Sega and Sonic Team would have never priced Sonic Racing CrossWorlds at $70 and $90 respectively. And no matter how many people decide to buy Sonic and Racing CrossWorlds at $70, at $90, whether they decide to wait for a discount, it's not going to affect anything on the greater industry. Their sales will never have that kind of an impact on the gaming industry, even if this game outsells Mario Kart World, because as a whole, Nintendo will still be able to control things more than Sonic Team will. And also, there's a few other things as well. So, if you notice earlier, I said if Nintendo decided to re-release Mario Kart World as a pack-in title later. There's always an if with Nintendo. There are so many people that wonder whether or not Mario Kart World is going to be getting DLC. And it's an assumption that many people made from early on because they're like, well, the Booster Course Pass doubled the lifespan of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because it doubled the courses, basically. But they don't account for the fact that that didn't happen until 5 years after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was launched. Nor do they account for the fact that all of the tracks that were in that Booster Course pack were taken from Mario Kart Tour. So they already had the tracks made, and that's pretty much most of the reason why they're like, well, we might as well put this on the Switch. So everybody's just expecting that Nintendo, a company that is clearly showing that they will not put more effort into something that's already sold very well, they're assuming that that company is suddenly going to start giving them DLC. And look, it might not. A lot of people thought it was going to come in the Direct, but instead they decided to put it on Pokemon and Donkey Kong. But for all any of you know, this might be an $80 title that never gets a single ounce of DLC for the next decade. And Nintendo didn't promise anything with the game when it released. You have to keep that in mind. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. And I'll go even further than that. It's also not out of the realm of possibility that that new DLC that comes with Mario Kart World is something you're going to have to pay for, because that's historically what they have done. They don't usually just give you stuff for free like that. So your $80 title that you bought at $80, assuming that it was going to be getting more content later on, might not get anything else. And if it does, you might end up paying an additional $20 for it. In the case of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, having day one DLC is bad. Seeing the price that is set is bad. $90 for the full package is bad. I'm not gonna say it isn't. But at least every single person putting those dollars towards the game knows exactly what they're getting. And they pretty much know when they're getting it as well. And again, to backtrack a little bit, in a year from now, you could be getting that entire package for like half the price, included with all the DLC and everything, and you don't have to pay anything extra for it too. So even if you look at it from the angle of unreleased day one DLC and you put it side by side with Pokemon and somebody's confused as to why Sonic can do it, but Pokemon can't, that's why. Only one company in the entirety of the gaming industry remains stingy during its entire life cycle. And that's the primary reason why when so many people ask, well, why is it okay when Sony does it? Why is it okay when Microsoft does it? Why is it okay when they do it, but not okay when Nintendo does? That's why, if Nintendo wants people to hold their games to such a high standard that they believe that they do not want it to lose value over time, and they believe that their content, their accessories, all of the other things that they price gouge on are worth trend-setting prices in the industry, so much so that they will never go down in price, then they need to be held to a higher standard. Now, sorry, I just spent way too much time talking about Nintendo and less talking about the game of Sonic CrossWorlds. So in addition to all of this, there's also like what I will call the fun side of it. The whole Sonic versus Mario rivalry, you know, it's friendly banter. Like, I think when people are talking about spending their money on buying a Switch 2 versus not buying a Switch 2 and people get worked up and argue and people take it way too personally, like that might be a little bit more intense of a discussion because people just really attach their emotions towards these consoles, and that's fine. But if we're talking about buying Mario versus Sonic, and they're both available on a Nintendo console, I don't think I need to be as nice, I should say. Like, I don't gotta do the whole thing where it's like, hey, listen, I love everybody that bought the Switch too. Because, you know, I do. I don't mind if people buy the console. But when it comes to Sonic versus Mario, I don't feel like it's as necessary of me to hold back. I think it would be absolutely hilarious if everybody that had an issue with Mario Kart World being priced at $80 decided to buy this game at $90. I think it would be so funny if all of a sudden in 2025, the year of the console launch of the next Nintendo game, Sonic becomes the flagship kart racer 11 years after the release of Mario Kart World. Not that it will sell more than Mario Kart World, but it might be more active than Mario Kart World. As somebody that grew up as both a Mario fan and a Sonic fan, and two of my favorite games of all time were Sonic Adventure 2 and Mario 64, and that was Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast, mind you. I didn't have a GameCube. And I've seen the highs and lows of both companies, mostly highs in the case of Mario and mostly lows in the case of Sonic. I would totally be down for just a dramatic shift in the kart racer genre, and all of a sudden everybody that was waiting for the massive sequel to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe decides that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is that sequel that they've been waiting for, is that bit of excitement into the genre, that little shakeup that we wanted. And it would just be way too hilarious for me if that actually ruffled feathers. If there was actually an excessive amount of salt from the Mario Kart fandom, because you could buy this game too, you have the console, it's coming out on your console. Now, in fairness, you're going to have to wait a few more months in order to get it on the Nintendo Switch 2, but you can always buy the Nintendo Switch 1 version. And seeing as how so many people have made it very clear that they bought a Nintendo Switch 2 in order to play Nintendo Switch 1 games, and so many people with their Nintendo Switch 2 said that they were absolutely okay with 30 frames per second for third-party titles, the Switch 1 version of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds checks off both of those boxes, so you should be in good standing here. And the funny thing is, the fact that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is being delayed for the Switch 2, I think is actually an executive decision. I don't think it's necessarily a dev kit situation. Sonic Team had titles ready for launch, and they would probably have worked pretty closely with Nintendo going into the Switch 2. I'm not gonna say that Nintendo said you can't release your kart racer during the first year of our game. It's possible, but I don't think that's realistic. What's more realistic to me is that maybe Sonic Team was like, let's hold off on releasing this for the Switch 2, so that the people that buy Mario Kart World can get that out of their system instead of releasing it at the same time as that game, like we did with Team Sonic Racing, which ended up being completely overshadowed by CTR at the time. But then it gets even funnier, because now all of the trailers leading up to the launch of this game, there's that one that's hilarious, where they brought back that old trailer from the Sega Genesis days, but they redid it so that there's like a slow turtle and a cow, and it's on the open road, and it's making fun of the Mario Kart World being a slow, lame game in the open road. That alone made me so happy to see, just because it's funny and nostalgic. And like I said, I feel like, you know, a good bit of friendly banter between two franchises that I've loved. But what was even funnier to me is that same trailer was shared by PlayStation, was shared by Xbox, but it was not shared by Nintendo. And I don't know, that makes it feel a little bit less friendly and more salty. Even the launch trailer, like, that was shared by PlayStation, it was shared by Xbox, and once again, it was not shared by Nintendo. And don't tell me it's because it's not coming out on the Switch 2 and that's why Nintendo didn't feel the need to share the launch trailers for this game. Because this game is going to launch on the Switch 1 as well, and I think it's gonna sell better on the Switch 1 than it will on PlayStation and Steam. So it's not like this isn't coming to a massive Nintendo user base and Nintendo has no reason to advertise it, because if anything, it's coming to the largest user base right now in the world. So this just makes Nintendo look so salty. But man, they are catching a lot of strays right now. And I'm seeing it affect people online, mostly on Twitter and on Reddit. Like, I'm sure that a lot of you saw that trailer for that new Palworld game. I think it's called Pal Farm. It's like a farming spin-off. And it just objectively looks like a better version of whatever we saw in Pokopia, or however you say it. They upload this trailer 11 days after what we saw in the Nintendo Direct. It looks much better than whatever we saw in the Nintendo Direct from a farming game angle. And they even have a little bit at the end where they really highlight that they're using balls that they throw to capture different pals, I guess. I don't know what they're called. I haven't played Palworld before. The trailer is a very clear indication that they know exactly what they're doing. They're calling out Nintendo. They are showing that they are not going to be backing down. And yet the response from a lot of people online is along the lines of, well, they didn't make this game in 11 days. It's not like they did it because Pokopia was announced. Completely trying to deny that there's any kind of beef between the people at Pocket Pair and Pokemon. And it's like, that's not exactly the point. They're releasing the trailer. There's context in the trailer that you can tell they're clearly stepping up to Nintendo. And it's very evident. And I think it's great. Just like I think that it was great that Sonic Team decided to release that trailer that made fun of Mario Kart World. I love it from the angle of somebody that enjoys this friendly competition between companies, and then I love it even when you look at the bigger picture with what Nintendo is doing and how they're just trying to destroy the entirety of the industry by patenting everything and trying to shut everybody down. Like, put it this way, I was trying to figure out which version of Sonic Racing CrossWorld I wanted to buy. Normally what I would have done is for games like this, I'd buy it on my Xbox Series X because that's the third-party thing. Although, to be completely fair, the last time I bought an Xbox Series X game was last year when Sonic and Shadow Generations came out. But normally if there's a game that I really want to play, it ends up being on Game Pass. I get like 1 month worth of Game Pass, and normally it's like when there's a deal that's only for $1. So I don't really pay for games on my Xbox as much as you would think. But that's besides the point. I was debating whether to get Sonic Racing CrossWorlds on my Xbox or get it on the PC, since now I have a rig. On one hand, I really wanted that physical copy. generally speaking, I like to buy physical where I can, especially if I'm buying a new game, because then I can resell it, make a lot of that money back. But then two things kind of stop me from doing that. Number one, I'm not paying for Xbox Live, so not having a physical version of the game offsets the cost of reselling it later if I wanted to. And number two, I know that in the long run, there are going to be mods for Sonic Racing CrossWorld. I know the fan community is going to be doing a lot of stuff with this game, and eventually I'm going to be downloading something on my PC from here. Even if Steam decides that you can't have full DRM of this title, I'm not too concerned about that because I know in the lovely world of PC, there will be DRM-free options, and I won't have to pay for the game again. And the best part is, in saying that, it's not even like controversial. Like, Sonic Team specifically will probably celebrate the types of mods and fan meddlings that happen as a result of this game. Some people might even get hired by Sonic to make the next racing game if it's good enough. So there's much less of a fear, I guess, out of lack of a better term, of buying a digital-only copy of this title on my PC for that full expensive value, because I know that I'm going to find a way to make sure I get everything I need out of this game. And I know that I'm not going to get in trouble from it. Whereas if we were talking about Mario Kart right now instead of Sonic Racing CrossWorld, I mean, just the past few minutes alone would be enough to get some people listening to this to call the Haram Police. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Anyway, look, obviously this is not a review of Sonic and Racing CrossWorlds. I don't even know if I know how to do game reviews. I do retrospectives, and even sometimes I'm not that good at that. I just kind of go into way too excruciating detail of my gameplay experience. But what I do know is that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is now my default racer. Like, this is going to be the game that I play anytime I want to play a racer, in the same way that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was up until this point in time. I've worked on convincing everybody within my circles to buy a copy of this game, and because it's cross-platform, it's made that very easy to make sure everybody gets what they want, including one person in our circles who was completely fine with the Switch version. They're like, yeah, I just want it to be in handheld, so I'm going to buy the 30 frames per second version on their Switch OLED. I do actually have one big issue with this title, and it's something that I hope that Sonic Team will fix later. And again, the nice thing about Sonic Team versus Nintendo is that if people complain enough online, usually Sonic Team will make a fix, so it might be worth submitting these complaints to them. But as it stands right now, if you're going online with this game in split screen mode, you can't take any friends with you. So in Mario Kart, you could only take one person. And I made a pretty big stink about that a few months ago. I wish that you could take 4 people and jump online. That's the best way to experience split-screen gaming when you want to go online, in my opinion. Especially because I'm often playing with a large group of friends, so it would be easier to be able to play 5, 6, and 7 players with just 2 copies of the game instead of having to buy more than 3. But now with CrossWorlds, it's actually worse because you can only get 1 person per device while going online. At least that's what I'm seeing in the discussion forums at the moment. I haven't tested it yet, but this seems to be the common knowledge. So for me personally, I will submit whatever ticket I have to submit in hopes that Sega will change this and make it so that you can go online with 2, 3, or even 4 people. But I mean, even if they don't, the fact that I can squad up with 4 of my friends and go into the same room online already kind of counterbalances that, because that was an issue that we really had with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe specifically, where it's like if you want to play online with a group of friends, you had to all go into a room and you just kind of like wait for the other one to finish their race, and sometimes somebody's a spectator, sometimes somebody isn't. And what it would end up amounting to is that all of us would decide to just play a game with a bunch of CPU characters because it just wasn't worth trying to figure out making sure all of us were in the same race. Over here, it's a lot easier. You go up with your 4 friends and you just go into a room and you're guaranteed to all race together. So you lose out on the split screen, but you gain that. So there's pros and cons to everything. But yeah, so the point is, I plan on playing this game a lot. I've made a whole new YouTube channel for it, Nintendine Plays. It's not only going to be Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, but it's definitely going to have a lot of Sonic Racing CrossWorld content in it, at least in the near future. And keep in mind, I don't do typical Let's Plays. Like, I just kind of record myself while I'm playing and then I edit it out, so it's just a 10 to 15 minute video that somewhat summarizes my experience and my thoughts while I'm playing. I try to make it entertaining if I can. It's not always the case. But they're more like Let's Play highlight videos, think in the same vein as a channel like Joctopus or Party Crashers even. In any case, that's all I really got for tonight. If you're somebody that's on the fence about this title and you don't know if it's worth it and you're okay with $70+ on games already, I think this is well worth everybody's investment. The single player offerings will keep you busy for a bit, and it's actually very difficult. I don't even talk about that, but in fairness, I'm still going through it. I haven't unlocked everything yet. And I have a very big feeling the online multiplayer community is going to be fairly active as well, especially with like the season passes and the new characters that are going to be coming soon and the new Grand Prix that are going to be released. So like I said, if you're somebody that's not too sensitive to the price point, I definitely recommend it. But if you're somebody that thinks, you know, you absolutely would never pay this much for a game, don't. Just wait a few months. It'll probably be 50 bucks or even cheaper. In any case, thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you all on the next one.